Hey, what's up? This is Scott with Level Up Tutorials, and in this video, we're going to be wrapping up our intermediate Meteor series. This is going to be the last video. We're going to take care of some loose ends, and then talk about what's next to come in the world of Level Up Tutorials and Meteor. Let's get started right now. So, although we are at the end of the intermediate series for Meteor, there is a ton of more Meteor content coming to Level Up Tutorials, so do not worry about that. I'm going to be showing a lot of the things that everybody has been asking for, like image uploading, using Meteor with React, a custom login and user registration, things like how to write a package, pagination, basically smaller topics in Meteor. So don't worry about that. And we're going to wrap this series up with one final video, and it's going to be a pretty easy one. We're going to toggle this new form. So we don't want this form here all the time. In fact, it's sort of just annoying to have it here. So let's go ahead and just add a button. And we're simply going to add a button onto recipes.html. And here you can see we have this new recipe. We can now just have a button like so. And this button can have a class of btn primary. And it will just be new recipe. Okay, so let's head to our app, and you should be able to see a blue button up here, new recipe. Now, we've actually used this blue color for submitting a form. I'm actually going to just remove the class entirely from it, and let's just have this be new recipe. So this decision is made because this action here is usually used to submit a form. If we use the just standard button class that's in the CSS, it's going to be purple. It's going to stand out a little bit different. It's going to be maybe a different sort of feeling. So it's not necessarily submitting a form here. It's going to be now toggling something. Okay, so we now have this new recipe. We click it, doesn't do anything. In addition, we also want a close button on this because when you open the new recipe, this button's obviously not going to be there. So let's go ahead and add that to our new recipe.html right up here. And what we can do is add inside of this new recipe container div, we can add an I, so for font awesome, fa close, like so. And if we head back to our application, you should see already styled and placed absolutely in the top right is this X. So now hopefully what's going to happen is when we click this X, we close the new recipe. Now, if you'll notice in the last video, we wanted our reactive variables scoped to a particular template. However, we want this sort of toggling to happen between templates. So, and this is a perfect example of when you'd want to use a session variable rather than a reactive variable. So what we can do is add a couple of functions here. First, we need to target this fa close, and we need to set the session to false. And when we click the new recipe, we want to set the session variable to true. So one thing we don't have is we don't have a new recipe.js. So I'm going to click new file, and we can say new recipe.js. Now we can say template dot new recipe dot events, and we can have a bracket inside of here. We can enter. Now inside of here we want to have a click, and on the click we're going to be looking for fa close. Now fa close, let's have a period in there because we're looking for that class. We're going to be looking for a function here, and we can simply now just set a new session variable. So like I said, at this point, this sort of thing should be old news. So this is a great way to round out the series. And we can just say new recipe. And we're going to be setting new recipe to false because we want that closed, okay? Now let's just go ahead and copy this entire event, this click fa close, and we're going to head to our recipes.js. Now it looks like we don't have any events whatsoever. So what we can do is template.recipes dot events, and then have our object here. Now inside of our object, let's go ahead and have a click function, and that click function is going to be on the, let's see, we have the new recipe button, and we can paste that in there at a period for the class. So now this, we're going to be looking for a click on this new recipe button, and we can have this simply as an arrow function here. And we can now set our session variable session.set new recipe, and we can now set this equal to true. Okay, so this is nothing crazy at all whatsoever. And to confirm that this is all working, let's actually just head to our application here and refresh, make sure I didn't have a typo anywhere or anything like that. Okay, so we now have these two buttons here. If I do Control M, you'll see that's really just something you'll find yourself doing a lot of times once you have these Meteor toys. You want to be checking your session variables. So when we click X, you can see it's set to false. Click new, it's set to true. So like so, you can see that these both click functions are working as expected. Now let's actually go ahead and use one of those template session helpers that we had in a couple of videos ago, and let's actually use that to show and hide this, not only this button, but this new recipe form itself. So we can do sort of what we did before, and we can have double brackets, and we can say pound if $.session.get, and we're looking for, in quotes, new recipe, like so. And if new recipe exists, then we want to show this recipe form, like so. Otherwise, with an else, we want to show the button that allows you to toggle this. So we only want to either show the button or the form, and we can wrap that up with a /if. So now we're getting this new recipe. If it's equal to true, show the form. Otherwise, show the button. Set to our page here, and you should see that by default now we just have a new recipe button. Now this isn't placed anywhere specifically. You could obviously style this interface completely different, but as you see when we click, perfect. Show and hide. Awesome, just what we want. Now if you wanted to do this with animating or anything like that, you could use the session variable to toggle a class and have that class be like fading or growing or doing anything you want to do these sort of animations to build in here. So it's not just sort of a, here's the form, you know. But otherwise, other than that, it looks great. And this application is totally fully functioning. Now there's a ton of improvements we could be making to this. The view details page could actually have all of the information. The view details could also have an edit feature, and there's all just sorts of little things here and there. However, functionally, this thing is working really super well, and we've built a much more complex Meteor application than what we built in the Meteor for Everyone series. So like I said, there's a lot more advanced and intermediate Meteor content coming very soon, so do not worry about that. If you would like to purchase this series with the code examples, you can do so at store.leveluptutorials.com. It should be available this week and maybe even tomorrow, depending on what day you're watching this video. If you're watching this in the future, it's probably already there. So head to store.leveluptutorials.com, and just like Meteor for Everyone, you can purchase this series with the code examples for digital download with all of the HD videos that are available. So if you enjoyed this series, feel free to help support me in creating free tutorials on YouTube by purchasing something from the store.leveluptutorials.com. Thank you for watching, and I hope you enjoyed this series.